as you certainly know, defense can feel impossible at times in CFB 26. Between your zones breaking or dropping wide open interceptions, you feel like giving up. Luckily for you, in this video, I'm breaking down 5 tips that will instantly fix your defense in CFB 26, so long as you actually implement all 5 of them into your next game and don't skip out on any of them. You're absolutely not going to miss any of the tips I have for you today, so let's jump right into it. Alright, before you even get into the coverages, blitzes, or anything else, you need to make sure that you have the best defense settings equipped to give you a chance. Let me show you exactly which ones to use right now. Alright, so if we pause the game here, we come into game options. Alright, we scroll down until we find our gameplay helpers. These are the ones you want to make sure you have on. Defensive ball hawk, editor, play the clip I sent you of getting an interception. When the ball's in the air and it's going to be tight coverage, right? This setting, having it on, it literally says disabling this mechanic can cause user defenders to attack the ball in the air less aggressively. You do not want that to happen, so make sure you have it on. It's going to help you catch more interceptions, not to say that you're never going to drop interceptions. Heat seeker assist, making sure this is on so that you can make those suction dive tackles in the backfield, right? On those ball carriers to stop the run. Window sides at 100%. You want to be able to get those Superman dive animations, and having that setting on at least 100% is going to help you out with that. And then obviously you don't want there to be any switch stick delay at all. I mean, switch stick delay, one of the worst things that you can ever turn on. Along with having your cornerback matchups on by speed, by height, by overall, anything else besides balance. This is going to help your guys not crisscross when the offense no huddles motions. Having defense or motion response on disable is going to do the same thing for you. It's really going to help you with your alignment. All right, we scroll down to these options. All right, those don't really matter, but RPO passkey is going to help you out a little bit defending those RPOs. It's going to help your computer AI defenders focus on the pass while you focus on the run. Everyone likes to fantasize over BLT. What coaching adjustment zone drop settings do I use? Please, it's going to depend on the situation that you're in the game and what your formation is and all that stuff. But if you just want to set these, forget these most of the time. Default 5, default is going to be your best friend. Safety depth on close, safety width on pinch, all right? And so we're going to come down until we find any play. And the reason why safety depth on close and pinch is so valuable is because a lot of the time, if you're going to run cover 2, cover 3, people are going to try to look right up the seam. And I mean, this is a cover 3 defense on one side, right? This left side. And so, I mean, you could just look up the seam against this. But no, because our defenders are close to the line of scrimmage, they're able to break on those passes and knock them away. So we see it again right here. Boom. The safeties are there, the linebackers are dropping back. That's why having your hook zones on default helps, because they're going to help you defend the seams as well. But you're just seeing it time and time again. That safety right there, that time number 3 goes up and drops the interception, but he's still there to make the play. So that's why having your safety depth on close is valuable. But be aware, let's just say Horton or Ryan Williams had takeoff, right, and they were able to get off the line a little bit faster, right? You don't want to, have those safeties too close, because then they'll just get ran by. So you need to know your personnel. If you can use safety depth on close, you use it, because you're going to be able to defend the seams better. But if they have really fast receivers compared to your DBs, or they have takeoff, make sure you put that setting back on default, because that's going to help you out tremendously on defense. But those are the best defensive settings and coaching adjustments that you need to be using, and why. All right, regardless of who you're playing, you're going to need to be able to stop RPOs. They're simply way too easy to abuse, and too many of you guys have no idea what to do against them. Let me show you the best RPO defense to use right now. All right, so if we come into play type, we come into RPO, all right, we want to look at these plays as an offense, right? What you're going to notice is a lot of the time on these RPOs, the halfback is going to be the A button on Xbox, the X button on PlayStation. So you see it right here on a lot of these. Sometimes he's RB, but on a lot of these, he's going to be the A button, right? We continue to go through it. A lot of these, he's A. Again, sometimes he's Y, RB. But a lot of time he's A. And so really that's the tell, because if we scroll through any of these passing plays or even run plays, the running back is never going to be the A button. He's always going to be Y or RB. And so that's a dead giveaway that an RPO is coming. So if we come into any of these RPOs right here, like RPO read bubble from trips Y over, all right? So you're going to see this right here. Jam Miller is the A button. Now, when you're on defense, you can't see the buttons of the offense. That's what you think, right? but not until you do this trick. So what you're going to do is you're going to press D-pad right twice, then you're going to press one of these two linebackers here, so A in this case, and then you're going to open the man coverage menu. Now, what you're going to see is now you can see all the buttons of the receivers and the tight end and the running back. So now you see Jam Miller's A. Right, and so now that's the tell. So again, you need to make sure that you're mastering quick adjustments, something I will be talking about later in the video, but you need to do all of this fast. Like I'm able to do it under a second, right? And now I know Jam Miller's A, so I know RPO is coming. So now I'm not manning up Jam Miller, I'm simply setting up RPO defense. I'm gonna call cover 3, I'm gonna shade down to put hard flats in the field, then I'm gonna man up my linebacker onto Bernard, right? And so then we're going to pass commit our defense, right? And so now he's just going to stand right over him. You can move him over if you want, but now this RPO pass is going to be shut down. So now all you have to do with your user is be ready to stop the run. You're going to see how that pass aspect, we're breaking on that pass because not only do we have a hard flat over there, right? The hard flat's going to get blocked and that's perfectly fine, but then we also have another defender there defending this RPO very, very easy because he's manned up. Boom, we get the RPO tell, and then we're able to just sit on the RPO and knock the pass away. Then you have to be ready to stop the run though with your user, which is the second part that I'm going to show you right here. So we're going to set up the RPO defense the same way. We get our tell, okay, now we man up the X guy, we put a curl flat, or excuse me, a hard flat, and then we're just ready to stop the run aspect of the RPO because boom, we're going to take the snap, we loop all the way around, and we're right there to fill that gap and make that play while the pass aspect is taken away. Guys, it's the same RPO defense against every RPO in this game. If you're going to get the tell, you're going to obviously know it's RPO. You're not always going to know it's RPO. Just because he's RB, just because he's Y, doesn't mean it's not an RPO. It's just when he is A, it's like 95% of the time it's an RPO. So you do your RPO defense, you man up, you pass commit, you have your hard flat, and then you loop around and force these linemen to block you, or you get the gap shoot and you make the play. So really bottom line with RPOs, they're not hard to stop, guys. If they're going to give you the RPO tell, you take it and you man up whoever you think is going to be getting the ball. A lot of time against trips formations, it's the inside trips receiver. So you're going to run cover 3, hard flat, you're going to man the guy up, and you're going to pass commit, and then you're looping around that gap to make that play with your user and bring the ball carrier down in the backfield. All right, if you enjoyed those first 2 tips, they don't even compare to the final 3 that I have for you later on in this video. So make sure you subscribe to this channel because I drop daily college football 26 tips that you're absolutely not going to miss out on. But if you want all 5 of these tips in written form to save in your phone during gameplay so you never lose access to them and you never have to scroll through videos to find this information, make sure you go to the link in the pinned comment or comment the word Volt. I'll send you the link to join CFB University, where you're going to get my full library of written breakdowns for the month of March and beyond. And you're going to always, like I said, going to be able to always save them on your phone and reference these tips during gameplay. You can start with your first month for only $1, so it's sort of a no-brainer. What are you doing? Go to the link down below in the pinned comment. Try it out today for only $1. Let's jump right back into the video. All right, the switch stick is one of the most foundational pieces of defense that you need to get better with. But there's a different way to do it than using the right stick, which for some people might be a little bit easier. Let me introduce you to the D-pad switch stick. Alright, so the D-pad switch stick, why is this so valuable? So let's just say there's 2 situations. So if we come into cover 4 show 2, you can do this would be from any defense, one I'm showing you right here. But if you come into a play and you're making adjustments, right? You're clicking on the guys, boom, I mean, you're clicking on them individually. I'm going to fix that for you later in the video, so make sure you stay tuned. But if you accidentally get clicked onto a defensive lineman, right, in previous years, right, and what you probably are doing now, you're just user rushing now because you have you're just stuck on a defensive lineman. There's nothing that you can do, right? It used to be a thing where you were able to catch opponents on defensive linemen, but now anyone that really knows what they're doing on this game, they're just going to press the D-pad up to D-pad switch stick off of the guy. So we're going to take the snap as an offense right here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to press D-pad up, and now I'm able to D-pad switch stick, right? We're going to switch players with the D-pad, and now I'm back on my linebacker to make a play. So now you're never going to get caught on your defensive lineman, and you're never going to get screwed in that aspect, right? Because now you're just going to see, right, I'm just going to to rush accidentally with my defensive lineman, and then I'm going to D-pad switch it off. He goes and gets the sack while I guard the running back out of the backfield. So whenever you get caught on a defensive lineman now, you're just going to be able to, boom, take it, immediately D-pad switch it, and now I'm back over the middle of the field to take away Jam Miller, and we're able to get a sack. So that's very valuable in that situation. But also, if you blitz your user, whether it's on accident or you're trying to set up a blitz like I'm about to show you in a second, it's like, okay, well, what I can do is I can't switch stick, right? If I take the snap, I'm trying to switch stick with the right stick, I can't do it. They're not switching me. You see how my guys like jumping around all goofy and stuff? Because you can't switch stick with the right stick when your user's blitzing. So what you're going to do is you're going to blitz your user, but now you're going to press D-pad. So now I'm able to press D-pad to the right, and you see how I'm able to get that, pressure right through the A gap. So sometimes D-pad switch sticking when you blitz your user is valuable, and you're able to create these, crazy blitzes, right? So boom, press D-pad to the right, and now you're able to see, once again, we're able to get that user rush. So it's like, it can be very valuable for you to to blitz your user and then D-pad switch stick, but just understand that, again, you have to do with the D-pad. But the second example is if we come to a play like Mike Blitz 0, right, where you're actually trying to scheme up a blitz, where you're blitzing your user right off the snap, but you're going to use that D-pad switch stick. And this is a great example of it, where we're going to drop our outside linebacker right here into a curl flat. We're going to shift our defensive line to the left. We're going to pass commit our defense, and really now what you're going to see is we're going to, you could set up, a zone coverage defense behind it, but if I stand 2 yards over the over the center, right, and I'm going to take the snap, press D-pad to the right, now you're going to be able to see I'm able to D-pad switch stick onto that curl flat defender, right, so I'm switching players, but my user was blitzing, so I have to do it with the D-pad. I press D-pad to the right, and now what that's going to do is going to allow for us to get that quick pressure, right up the A gap, create a 4-on-3 advantage on our defensive line, and allow for one of our guys to come in free. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten people with this pressure look simply because it's an overload blitz that makes sense. Here's the key though, if they're going to run a guy over the middle of the field, you need to make sure that you're trying to get back over the middle of the field immediately. That's why D-pad switch sticking right off the snap, you see, boom, immediately, like as soon as the ball is snapped, boom, I'm already switched. Before the quarterback even really has the ball, I'm already switched. Look, Ty Simpson doesn't have the ball, I'm already switched onto him. So you need to make sure if you're doing it this way, right, where you're trying to get a free rusher, that you're D-pad switching immediately so that your guy, there's no delay between him rushing and you getting onto your guy out here on the edge. And so then you're able to get that quick pressure on the quarterback. So really the D-pad switch stick is super valuable because, you don't have to just D-pad switch stick right. You can press it up, you can press it left, switch onto any of these guys, but you need to make sure that you're doing it immediately. And especially if you get caught on a defensive lineman, please don't stay on that defensive lineman. Press D-pad up, get onto a coverage player, and then resume your pass defense. All right, the switch stick is really a great defensive feature, but the bottom line is if you can't make adjustments on defense, people are going to quick snap you, and none of it's really going to matter. So let me show you how to make your adjustments faster by utilizing quick adjustments. Alright, and so here's the thing. You can make quick adjustments from any defensive play, any defensive formation in this game. But really what you need to understand is 3 button commands, alright? If you press D-pad right twice, that's going to open your linebackers. This formation only has 1 linebacker, so really it's only X here, but other formations you can adjust Y, you can adjust A, right? Some like other nickel defenses, right? So 1 to 3 linebackers in every formation pretty much, right? And then if you press D-pad left twice, that's going to open the defensive lineman. So in this case, this formation, they're going to count those outside linebackers as defensive ends, and so they're going to be defensive lineman adjustments. So I press D-pad left twice, like I showed you earlier. If I wanted to put my outside linebacker in a curl flat, then I would press his button, which is B here, and then I would put him in a curl flat assignment, right? And so that's the second one. So D-pad right twice, linebackers, D-pad left twice, defensive lineman. This is the critical one though. Pressing Y twice opens all of your secondary. So your slot corner, your safeties, your corners, right? Some formations have 6 DBs, some have 4. This formation right here has 5 DBs, all right? And so really, if I want to adjust my safety, right, and put him in an inside third, I know if I press A, then I press left stick to the left here, that's going to put him in an inside third. And so really, once you understand those 3 button commands, it becomes a lot more muscle memory, because you know, okay, if I put my defensive lineman in a curl flat, now if I want to do the same adjustment on the other side, I don't have to individually click on the guys like what you're doing right now. I can simply just press D-pad to the left twice, then press X, and then I could put my man in a curl flat. I could put him in a hard flat. I could put him in put him in whatever zone that I want to put him in. And so again, that just becomes super valuable when you're doing a whole lot of adjustments, right? So if I reset this play, or excuse me, if I call Mike blitz 0, I want to turn this defense into a cover 2. It's in a cover 0. Everyone's in man coverage right now. I want to turn it into a cover 2. So really what I would do, boom, 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 boom. And then now we have a cover 2 defense in really under 3 seconds, right? And so it's like 3 seconds is plenty of time to make adjustments. As long as you know exactly what adjustment that you want to make, you're able to press the buttons really fast, and so that you're not getting quick snapped, right? And so once you understand, okay, pressing Y twice opens the secondary, pressing D-pad right twice opens the linebackers, and D-pad left twice opens the defensive line, what adjustments do I like to make? I know in my safety, I only want to make deep half, inside third, curl flat, and hook curl, and then custom zone. Right? And so I know that I really only have to, memorize and master a few of these adjustments. My corners, I only want to put them in hard flats, cloud flats, outside thirds, and custom zones. So I know those are the only buttons that I need to memorize. So it really comes down to muscle memory, building that muscle memory so that you're not having to, if I want to turn this defense right into cover 2, you're probably clicking onto everyone individually, checking to see what button it is. Boom, now I'm going to click on, but you see how I misclick. And so it's just so much slower versus if I reset the play, then call, Mike blitz 0, boom, 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 and then boom. And now I have the same defense set up, but I'm not getting quick snap because I did it all from one central player. That's the key. It's going to prevent you from getting quick snap, and it's going to make whatever adjustment defense that you want to set up, whether you want to run cover 2, cover 3, you want to man a guy up, you're able to do it so much faster and so much smoother simply because you're mastering quick adjustments. All right, so if you've enjoyed those first 4 tips to dominate on defense here in CFB 26, again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm the only content creator that's going to drop daily, actually helpful content for you guys to get better here on CFB 26, and you're absolutely not going to miss out on any event. But let's jump into that final defensive secret that's going to help you out tremendously. And that final defensive secret is actually goal line defense. Every single game is going to be won and lost inside the red zone, and you really need to tighten up, hold the door, and prevent them from scoring touchdowns. Instead, have them kicking field goals. Let me show you how to play red zone defense here in CFB 26. Alright, and so there's 2 things that I'm going to talk about here. Stopping the run and then stopping like goal line quarterback run. So first we'll talk about stopping the run because it's honestly the same thing that I showed you earlier when I was talking about stopping RPOs. Really what you need to do is stand about 4 yards back from the halfback, or excuse me, yeah, from the guard on the halfback side. So you're going to stand probably right about here, and you're looping around the line and you're trying to find a gap. Right, so you're basically, this is what we call gap shooting. So sometimes the gap is you loop all the way around. Sometimes the gap is you can just cut through. So I need to actually have them call a run play. But yes, I'm just going to stand right here, and I'm just going to be ready to loop all the way around that gap and meet Jam Miller at the point of attack. Now, I'm holding 2 controllers, so this is a lot harder for me, but it's a lot easier when I do it in a game. It's a lot easier, when you guys are going to be able to do it. But you're just reading the play and running through that gap. So you see I meet Jam Miller right, like the gap opens up. You have to be reading the play. Like I said, sometimes you can just run straight through. Sometimes you have to loop all the way around. And then sometimes there's really no gap that opens up because you're too slow, right? You need to make sure that you're going as soon as the quarterback touches the ball. Don't go earlier, don't go later, right? And so boom, take it, wait for the quarterback to get the ball, and then that's where the Superman dive animation comes in, because you're pressing X on Xbox, square on PlayStation to basically go dive, leapfrog into the backfield and try to cut out the legs of the ball carrier. So we're going to look at the instant replay right here. We're going to loop all the way around. You're going to see how I was planning to loop all the way around this gap in between 71 and 74, but then I just see this opens up. And so I stop and I just run right through it, dive, tackle, and there's no ability for Jam Miller to be able to speed boost away from me, right? Because I just meet him at the point of attack. I dive to cut out his legs. So again, there's nowhere really for him to go. But we're going to stand 4 yards over the guard. We're just going to loop through, and then I get that Superman dive because, again, you don't want to get into a tackle battle. You don't want to allow him to speed boost away from you. So really, getting into that backfield, dive tackling, making sure he has nowhere to go is going to be your best friend. So that's really how you can stop the run aspect, maybe of run plays, RPOs. But when they get inside the 1 yard line, you're going to have to be able to stop quarterback sneak and fullback dive. And so you're going to come to goal line 5-3. You're going to come into your packages, and you're going to make sure that you have this speed package turned on. Because as the name kind of tells you, this is going to get your fastest defensive lineman on the field. And here's the problem, though. What you're probably doing is, if you're going to call goal line, there's still a gap over here on this right side in between the guard and the center. And so sometimes Ty Simpson, he can fall forward. Now right there, he falls forward and then gets hit, right? So he doesn't score. But there's times where he just falls into that gap and he's able to score a touchdown, right? And so you don't want that to happen. And really the best way to prevent that, the most consistent way, is by simply pinching your defensive line, yes, but go stand in this gap. Because you want to basically be as close to the line of scrimmage without being offside. So when you're in a game, I don't believe the blue line is a thing, so you wouldn't really know as far as that you can get. But like, this ball's inside the 1 yard line, and we're almost never going to give up a quarterback sneak or certainly a fullback dive, simply because as soon as he takes a snap, I come in unblocked. Because I'm basically at the same level as these defensive linemen. I might even be closer to the line of scrimmage than these defensive linemen. And so as soon as he takes a snap, he's just going to run into me, and he's going to fumble the ball. Now, he fumbled forward and scored. But it's like, he's never going to really just be able to just fall into the end zone like he typically would be able to against a lot of other goal line defenses. So the key, be as close as possible without being offside. So again, boom, take it, and you see I'm basically just going to push him down, cut him out every single time. No questions asked, no problem. And so here's the thing. People are going to see you mugging this gap right here. Right, so they're just going to see you standing right here. What they might do is they might flip their play. So now their tight end's going to come over. And so what you need to do is you just need to come over and stand in between this gap now. Because whatever side the tight end's on is the side that they're calling the quarterback run to. And so then you're just going to be able to, again, cut him down and force him to go down in the backfield. But then if we call like power O, for example, maybe they change up the run. Right, what you're going to see is I'm going to stand, again, at the same spot. I'm expecting the same run, but when they run power O, now there's 2 flame icons over the top of your defensive tackles. So what do I mean by that is, if I come stand right here, right, and they call power O, you see how there's a flame icon over the top of my nose tackle and the other guy to the left? So really that means that the offensive line is going to let those 2 guys come in free. And so even though I get blocked, it's still a party in the backfield. So regardless, you have to be able to stop the run in the red zone. You cannot let people just continue to run through and just walk in the end zone. It's too easy. So when you can focus on gap shooting, when they're kind of backed up a little bit more inside the 10-yard line, right, and force them, and if they ever get on the goal line by passing, right, now you have stout goal line defense. You're going to be able to hold the door against quarterback sneaks, fullback dives, power O, whatever run that they decide to call. Alright, so if you enjoyed any of those 5 defensive tips or you found them helpful, make sure you go down below and hit that subscribe button. I break down defensive tips and tricks just like this every single day on CFB 26, and you don't want to miss out on any of them. But if you want all 5 of these tips in written form to save on your phone during gameplay, make sure you go down below, comment the word VOLT in the comment section, or click the link in the pinned comment to join CFB University, where you're going to get your first month for only $1. It's literally a no-brainer. You're going to get access to all my written breakdowns, again, for only $1. Please, don't let $1 be the reason you're still struggling to win games here in CFB 26. Go down below, click that link, join today. But if you want to see 5 tips to help your offense here in CFB 26, check out this video. I'll see y'all over there. Peace.